days, the breaks here for you?
Yeah, the extra days were very helpful. I think just getting your body back, getting rested up a little bit, just have that time for guys that might be dealing with some things, just get back healthy, feel good coming into this week.
I was just going to say, with Christian and Aaron hopefully being full strength, even seeing that in practice that they're getting back to full strength, and what would that mean?
Yeah, it'd be huge. Just getting them back, getting kind of our rhythm and timing and everything back. They've been out a little bit, so just one of those things takes time. Takes getting back to practice, and that's what we're getting back to this week.
I think you're learning something new every week, whether it's games, practice, prep. Because getting your body back is too for a starting point. Are you learning things in that department each week about yourself or things that work for you?
Yeah, just I kind of got a pretty good plan in, but just sticking to the plan, stick to my routine of what I do weekly, and then just going forward from there with whatever might happen in the game, whatever nicks and bruises you have, just focus on that and getting healthy for the week coming up.
Usually when you have these extra few days, you can focus more on yourself. Is there anything you and the offense have been doing in particular to work on?
Yeah, no, we I think Matt challenged us after last game, going through the break, just continue to watch the past couple games and challenge everybody to think of one thing that we're going to work on going forward, and just kind of our focus into that going forward. So going to the bye, we'll have just things we're thinking about when we're out there at practice, going into the game, just focusing on things we can get better at.
Jordan, what was your one thing, or is that a secret?
No, my thing is just completions, going out there, getting positive plays, and just finding completions on every play.
Jordan, how do you guys start a little faster, do you think? What do you got to do?
Yeah, I think we just got to get into our rhythm faster. Kind of what I said, just finding completions early, get the ball moving, and kind of just getting ourselves out of maybe the third and long situations we put ourselves in. Cleaning up penalties, just all the pre-snap things that is hurting ourselves. So I think once we get that rhythm going again, we'll be good.
We've heard from you and Aaron in the past about Clements being a very tough judge or tough critic in a good way, but he gave you a lot of words of affirmation this week. Did you have a chance? Did you hear any of that? And just to hear what he thought of you, any thought on that?
I didn't hear his interview, so I'm not sure about that. But no, it's always what you would want to hear, I guess. Positive things from your coach.
Is he a hard grader?
Yeah, Tom. That's what we like about Tom, though. He's hard, and he just kind of keeps you locked into what you need to be doing in your job every play, and that's how he grades you every play. What are the the fundamentals that you're doing on every play? And if you kind of get away from that, he lets you know. And that's what you need, is somebody just hold you accountable on every play. Make sure you're doing the right thing, going through your reads, and not getting away from that.
You've had a lot of moving parts for 4 games on the offensive line in front of you. How challenging is that when you've got so many different figures in week to week?
Yeah, it is challenging, just getting that feel for different guys. When you have practice with guys, guys get injured, things like that. It's always next man up, but it is challenging. Just trying to get those reps in, get that. Same for the O-line. Hearing my cadence, they probably haven't been hearing it for the reps they've been getting in practice, but just getting back into that mode and just building that rhythm together. But it's tough. It's part of the job. It's that next man up mentality. But yeah.
Is there anything you can do as a quarterback to build that chemistry when it is so inconsistent on who's on the field with you?
I'm not sure if there's any specific things you can do. I know like cadence is huge, so we do CQ every day, where all the O-lines down there hearing cadences, hearing the different quarterbacks go through them. Because I think that's a huge part for them, just being able to hear the different cadences, because everybody sounds different. But in terms of reps and things like that, I think that's on everybody as an individual to be able to get themselves ready.
Hey, Jordan, you might find yourself calling out Crosby more than you like when you get into the line, just because you got to know where that guy is.
Calling out who? What is it?
Crosby.
Calling him out, you're saying? Yeah, no, we just, he's a really good player, somebody that we got to be, just aware of where he's at every play, and do it. We have a good plan going into it to block him up, and like you said, he's a guy we got to know where he's at.
Are they primarily a forward down defensive band? Do they always bring it in as much as they do?
Yeah, they're primarily nickel defense, 4 down, but they're a game plan team. They do some different things depending on who they're playing. So like we watched Steelers game, they were a little bit more base that game, which is something that they didn't do in the other games. So I think it'll be another game early to see what their kind of plan is for us and how we're going to attack that.
Jordan, it's obviously still early for you, but have you seen any sort of trend? And okay, defenses are going to play us a certain way, or is there not a pattern that sort of goes?
Yeah, I think mostly we've seen a lot of zone from defenses early on. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it's always week to week game plan how they want to defend us. But I think what we've seen so far has been a lot of zone.
Any idea why? Any theory on that?
I have no theory. I think that's just defensive game plans going into it. It's what they feel is best for them, I guess. But yeah.
Were you pretty close with Devontae in your time together here?
Yeah, I mean, Devontae had a good relationship while he was here.
Jordan, what did you just think of him as a receiver? Just kind of what he did here during this time, the 2 years he had with us.
I mean, Devontae's a special player. I was able to see that for the, 2 years we were here together. He's a special player. He does it every day at practice. He does it every day in the game. And he's a guy that, we're going to have to step up and handle business against him because he's a good player. But, yeah.
So I assume you accept any challenge. Fleur or Steno got a new package, a new place. You're going to try and perfect that. Do you feel, though, have there been times you went back and said, I don't feel confident about that? Use a squad or maybe you personally?
Yeah, I mean, there's always plays week to week. We're dealing with new game plans every week, new plays. So there's always a couple plays week to week that you don't, it might be new. You might not have got enough reps at it. You just don't feel comfortable with it. So yeah, we have those conversations just about exactly what plays I'm comfortable with and not comfortable with. So we get in a situation where we're not calling plays and I'm not comfortable with in the game. So, but we have a lot of communication to make sure that doesn't happen.
So that's the main thing. Your confidence is usually based on. I don't think they had enough reps.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to how many reps you get, especially if it's new concepts, new footwork, new timing, things like that. You want to be as comfortable as possible going into it and comfortable in every play. So.
Talking to Vrabel the other day, he was talking about sometimes the receivers aren't exactly in the right spot at the right time. How challenging is that? How challenging is that for you when you go back and you're maybe not quite sure he's supposed to be as far as how the timing goes?
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that we're going to have to work through. We got a lot of young receivers, and it's not easy. We got a big volume of offense, so things happen in the game. Timing gets thrown off, routes get thrown off. You're getting looks that you haven't probably seen in practice, so things happen, and it's just I look at it as all growing opportunities. We come back, we look at it, see what we might have did good, what we might have did bad, and just areas to work on, improve. But we know it's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be things we can clean up, but that's one thing that I think the more reps we get, the more chemistry we get running routes, that we'll just be on the same page, knowing what we got to do, go forward.
Okay, how do you handle that in time? Like, come off the field on a third down or whatever. How do you address that, or do you just wait until the Monday film? How do you?
I mean, it's tough if you don't feel it on the field. There's sometimes you can feel when maybe a receiver didn't get his depth or the time is just off, and we'll talk about it in the game. But a lot of the stuff, it comes down to if maybe a coach saw it on the sideline, but you have to wait till you see it on film to actually, be able to slow it down and be like, oh, well, you got to get here, you got to get this depth, so things like that. But that's why we got all the quarterbacks on the sideline looking out for that, coaches are looking out for that. So if we do see that, we can clean up in the game, but sometimes you don't.
You guys are obviously the first, however many series or whatever, series or two are scripted. How much does that change over by obviously the look the defense has given you when, after 8 plays, there's only been 1 run or, 0 runs over 8 plays. Has that changed, or is that kind of how you went into it going with that idea?
No, yeah, I mean, we have our, openers that we're going to start with. Things happen, negative plays, you get more into the get back on track mindset. So, things happen in the game. We started in the red zone area, our first drive against the Lions. So there's little factors that might switch up those openers. And then obviously you get a third down, you have a third down plan. But I think we try and stick with the openers as much as possible.
Does Jones being on a pitch count change things at all? Like, that he had to be limited some snaps last week, and will that change things as he goes, as he's more available for the scripting?
For what? For
just the way maybe your game plan going in. How much does it change when Jones is not on a pitch count, essentially?
I mean, I think you try and use them as much as possible. You try and use your best players and put them in the best position as possible. I think that's what we're going to do this week.
Jordan, when I asked this question before, he talked about completion percentage, and that's not what I was looking for, okay? When you look at where you've where you started as an NFL player in terms of your accuracy to where you are now, how much do you think that has improved, and in what ways do you think you were able to make it improve?
Yeah, I think it's improved a lot, but I think it comes down to footwork, knowing your reads, knowing when to get off things, knowing what routes are good for certain coverages and certain looks, and just having a better feel of the offense. I think it all ties in. Because when the timing's on, you know what I'm saying, you're able to go through your reads, your feet are good, your accuracy is on more point than when you might get your footwork thrown off, might be off balance, things like that. So there's a lot of things that affected. But I think it's grown a lot just with my comfortability in the offense and being able to go through my reads and the timing and everything.
So I understand, you've thrown more balls downfield, so that those are less likely to be completed. So when you look at that actual statistical number, it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. Mm-hmm. But in what ways can you get that? You talked earlier about getting that number up. Mm-hmm. Maybe it goes to Bill's question too about guys being exactly where they're supposed to be. But what's the process to get it to them? Yeah, I mean it's a lot of parts that go into it. But I think for me, the biggest thing that I can do to help all those stats is just finding those completions. You talked about most deep balls downfield, and I think there's a time and place. Just knowing when to pull the trigger and when to check the ball down and just get those positive plays, get the sticks moving. Kind of just situational awareness. I think all those things will improve. The more reps I get, the more comfortable I get. But it's like I said, it's all learning situations. But I think the completion percentage will keep going up. But I'm going to push myself to keep finding those completions and getting those positive plays.
Right after the Saints game, I asked Romeo, what's the difference in the fourth quarter? I said, to me, it looked like you were in there too. He goes, we don't have to think of it. Mm-hmm. We rep that so much. We got that down so much. Mm-hmm. It was like muscle memory. And you guys as a unit must have felt that way. And what's probably been your best quarter so far this season. Mm-hmm. And so it's that repetition that probably has made the difference with that package.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, we've got a lot of reps at it. Some we practice almost every day during training camp, OTAs, and so we have a lot of reps at doing those things. And we have a limited play count that we do in 2 minute and no huddle stuff. So, like I said, we're comfortable in that. Guys have got a lot of reps, and it sucks to be in that position, being down and having to do that, have to be in that situation. But I think no huddle kind of puts some pressure on the defense, trying to get lined up, figure out what they're doing, what coverage they're getting to. But yeah, like you said, it takes some of the thinking out of it. It's kind of muscle memory, and that's where we want to get to with every play, though.
Two more for Jordan. Have you seen more shading towards Romeo, since Christian's been out? Do you see that more than any other receiver? And then when Christian is back, how do you think that's going to change if it does at all?
Yeah, I haven't seen too many, like true double team coverages. But I mean, I think, like you said, when Romeo's an X, teams can kind of play a little bit cloud sometimes more than they might. So I think anytime you have Christian out there too, they just got to take into account who they got, with their speed on both sides, and they got to pick their poison really. So I think anytime you have weapons out there, and you might have a guy that is getting a lot of the receptions during the game, teams might try and take that away. But like you said, when you have Christian on the other side, it's hard to kind of do that, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I haven't seen too many kind of double team coverages yet, but we'll see.
Was there any difference playing on that spotlight, primetime, national television than maybe what you expected the feeling of for a first start? And then, at the same regard, you have another one coming up right away, so you can show the nation again what you got on Monday and kind of a bounce back situation. Yeah, no, I don't think there's any extra pressure for it. It's, at the same time for me, it's just another game. You don't know, the ins and outs of the TV situation, all that. So it's just, you look at it as another game. So I don't think there's any pressure in that area. But yeah, like I said, we got another opportunity this week. So.